Now we're going to read about Ismailia and put the photos in the correct order. So let's read the new message together. I am Sharif and I live in Ismailia, which is between Port Said and Suez. The Suez Canal runs through the city before it reaches the sea. Ismailia is beautiful. There are attractive buildings, interesting monuments, and lots of gardens. Around 350,000 people live here, but since traffic is slow, there isn't much pollution. Ismailia is peaceful, but it isn't boring. There are lots of things to do here, especially at the weekends. On Friday afternoons, I often go to Lake Timsah, which is near the city with my family. It's a beautiful lake with beaches around it. On Saturday mornings, I have tennis lessons at the sports center at 9 a.m. Sometimes I go swimming in the afternoon with my friend Sayed. There are some interesting museums in Ismailia. My favorite is the Natural Science Museum because I'm interested in animals. It's a good place to go at the weekend. Now, let's number our paragraphs with our pictures correctly. Number 1 is already done for us, 1E. Number 2 is B. Number 3 is A. And number 4 is D. And number 5 is C. Now, let's go on to our next section, which is exercise 2. Now we're going to read the text again if needed, and we will complete the fact file about Ismailia. So the first part is done for us. Let's read together. We're going to be looking at where, what it looks like, how many people live there, places to visit in the city, the sports that can be played, and the places to visit near the city. Now remember, new words are in bold. You can check their meaning in the dictionary or the glossary. So if we look at the words in bold, we will be able to complete the fact file better. The first one is monuments. There are attractive buildings, interesting monuments, and lots of gardens. So a monument is a historic object that can be looked at for enjoyment or placed in museums to be looked at by tourists. Traffic is basically how crowded a place is by cars or other transport. So there isn't a lot of traffic in Ismailia. This means that there aren't many cars that are jammed or stuck together in one place. The next word is peaceful. Ismailia is peaceful. A peaceful place is a quiet place where people can stay and relax without feeling any stress. The word specially is the next word. Let's read the sentence together. There are lots of things to do here, especially at the weekend. So especially here means specifically or in more detail. We're talking about the weekends. So I can use specially to give extra information or to give an example, a specific example. Now let's move on to the fact file about Ismailia. Where is it? It is between Port Said and Suez. What does it look like? It has attractive buildings and interesting monuments. As for how many people live there, there are about 350,000 people. The places to visit in this city are Lake Timsah, the beach, and museums. As for sports, we can play tennis and we can swim there. And last but not least, places to visit near the city are actually Lake Timsah along with the beach and the museums. Now we're moving on to our speaking and writing section. So I need you to find a partner at home and just grab that person because you're going to be practicing both speaking and writing together. We will compare Ismailia with your village or city. So I want you to think of how Ismailia is different from where you live currently and think of the similarities that go along with it. After you're done, you can create a fact file for your own city or your own village in your notebook. So you may rewind the video and copy the fact file by filling out your own village information. Now we will jump to our language section. Let's get started. We're going to be working on prepositions of time. So we use prepositions of time to say when you do something. For example, on Friday afternoons, I often go to Lake Timsah. So here, if I'm specifying a day, I can use the word on, the preposition on. Let's look at the second example. I have tennis lessons at the sports center at 9 a.m. So if I'm giving a specific time, I can use at, such as 9 a.m. or 12 p.m. or 1 a.m. Let's look at the next example. It's a good place to go at the weekend. I can also use at to show a specific point in time. So the weekend is a specific point in time or specific days that I will be spending a good time at. The next one is sometimes I go swimming in the afternoon. So here, if I'm talking about a specific point during my day, such as morning, afternoon, or night, I can say in the morning, in the afternoon, or at night. Remember, we use at with night time. Now, let's complete the sentences with the correct prepositions from the box. Number 1 is done for us. Let's read it together. I always go to the park on Saturday mornings. Here I used on because I'm talking about a specific day. Now let's think, what do we use when we look at a specific time or we discuss a specific time? Let's read number 2. We have English blank 10 a.m. on Thursday. So the answer is at 10 a.m. on Thursday. We have English at 10 a.m. on Thursday. So we use at to show a specific time, such as 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. or 3 a.m. Now let's jump to number 3. Negwa usually visits her grandparents blank weekend. Remember, we always use at with the expression the weekend. So Negwa usually visits her grandparents at the weekend. Let's jump to number 4. We walk to school blank the morning. We walk to school blank the morning. If I'm showing a specific point in time during my day, such as morning or afternoon, I will use in. So the answer for number 4 is in. We walk to school in the morning, but we come home by bus. Okay, what if I'm talking about nighttime? So if I say we walk to the club blank nighttime, here I must say at nighttime, not in nighttime. So please do not forget this. Let's jump to number 5. Are you going to the museum blank Saturday? Are you going to the museum? If I'm talking about a specific day, I can say on. So the answer for number 5 is on Saturday. Are you going to the museum on Saturday? And last but not least, number 6, Fadi goes shopping blank the afternoon. Fadi goes shopping in the afternoon. So we use in the afternoon and in the morning, but we use at night. Let's go on to our listening section for lesson 2. Listen to Nader and Judy talking about where they live. Are these sentences true or false? My name is Nader. I live in Alexandria with my mom and my dad and my 2 brothers. Alexandria is a very historical city with lots of famous buildings, ruins, and monuments. But it's a modern city too. And there are lots of things to do here. At the weekend, I like to spend time with my family. On Friday afternoons, we usually go to the park. But sometimes we go to a museum or the aquarium. I love watching the fish. On Saturdays, I visit my grandparents. They live in Alexandria too. I enjoy playing chess with my granddad. He's very good at it. but sometimes I win. My name's Judy, and I live in Aswan. It's a busy city with about 1.5 million people, and there's always a lot to do at the weekend. On Friday mornings, I sometimes go shopping. Aswan is a great place for this. There are lots of interesting shops, and I love going to the famous market. I also like to go to the botanical gardens or the natural reserve. On Saturdays, I do my homework, and in the afternoon, I go to the sports center for my squash lesson. It's my favorite sport. Now, let's check if these sentences are true or false and correct the false ones. Let's look at number 1 together. All of the buildings in Nader's city are old. Of course, this is false. It is a modern city too. Number 2, Nader likes watching fish at the aquarium. Of course, the answer is true. We do not need to correct it because it is true. Number 3, Judy likes going to a famous shop in her city. Is this true or false? Of course, the answer is false. She likes going to the famous market and not the famous shop. Number 4, there is a botanical garden and a natural reserve in Judy's city. Is this true or false? Of course, it is true. Nader and Judy think that there is not much to do in their cities. Do you agree or disagree? Or do you think this is true or false? Of course, it is false. There are many activities to do in their cities, such as a museum, aquarium, natural reserve, and sports center. So there is a lot to do. The answer for number 5 is false. Now, you can listen one more time if you need to. You can rewind and then complete the sentences. So the words in the word box are aquarium, botanical gardens, Friday afternoons, in mornings, and Saturdays. The first one is done for us. Let's read it together. Nader usually goes to the park on Friday afternoons. Number 2, sometimes Nader goes to the museum or the aquarium. So Nader likes going to the museum or the aquarium. Number 3, on blank, he visits his grandparents. When do you think he visits his grandparents? Of course, Saturdays. On Saturdays, he visits his grandparents. Number 4, Judy sometimes goes shopping on Friday mornings. Of course, the answer is Friday mornings. Number 5, she likes visiting the blank and the natural reserve. The answer is she loves the botanical gardens as well. Okay, so let's move on to the last one, number 6. Judy goes to the sports center blank the afternoon on Saturday, and of course the answer is in the afternoon on Saturdays. Now we will go on to the writing section. You are expected to think about how you would describe your city and write a paragraph using 100 words. Remember to write what you do at the weekend and what time you do each specific activity. That's a wrap. This was Ms. Sarah Bassioni. We're done with Unit 1, Lessons 1 and 2. Great job. Goodbye.